Welcome to A-Level and AP Physics, a place where you can improve your understanding of physics with confidence. In today's video, we will talk about ticker tape timer. I will explain to you how to describe the motion, how to calculate velocity, and also how to calculate acceleration. If you are not confident about handling ticker tape timer problems, watch this video carefully until the end of the video. You will be very confident to handle ticker tape problems. Let's try to understand what is a ticker tape timer. Ticker tape timer is basically a vibrator, as you can see here. It is given to you. It's a vibrator, as you can see on this picture, means that something is moving up and down with a certain frequency. So that is an example of vibrator. And as ticker tape timer is also basically a vibrator, so it has its own certain frequency. There are different types of ticker tape timer. Their frequency is different, but in this class we were talking about ticker tape timer with frequency 50 hertz. So the frequency is 50 hertz. So frequency is 50 hertz. So we can find out the time between two ticks, means 1 divided by 50. We will get that is equal to 0.02 second. So this is the time interval between two dots. Time interval between two dots. Time interval between two dots. Two dots. And basically what ticker tape timer do is it just put dots on piece of paper. That piece of paper is called tape, as you can see here. This is the tape. This is also one way of looking at the tape timer if you are not clear about this. So this is the tape and this is a piece of paper. So this one what we call is tape. And this is the vibrator. This one is the vibrator. So here we have vibrator. What we can do with ticker tape timer? With the help of ticker tape timer, we can describe the movement of an object. We can see that whether an object is moving or it is not moving. We can also find out the time taken, we can calculate, and also we can determine the displacement. We can also find the velocity, and also we can calculate acceleration of an object. So first thing, movement we can describe, displacement we can calculate, time we can find, velocity we can calculate, and also we can calculate acceleration. Now here are few points, but we have to be very clear. This concept has to be very clear. This is the base of next concept, and all calculations of ticker tape timer are based on this very simple concept. So what is that simple concept? We need to understand what is a dot and what is a tick. Dot simply means that something here, this is what we call is dot, and two dots together we call that is one tick, means it will just make our understanding very simple if we are very clear what is one tick. So one tick, for example, simply tells us the time interval between two dots. So one tick, I can also say that one tick is equal to 0.02 second. This is very important point, and you need to be very clear about this one. So in next calculation, I will be talking about tick. So you have to understand, if I say one tick, it means I'm saying the time interval is 0.02 seconds. Now you can see here now number of ticks. Let's count. First of all, let's count how many dots here. So you can see the number of dots, for example, you will see are 11. Then how many ticks here? So number of ticks, 1, 9, and 10. Means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 ticks. And time for one tick is equal to 0.02 second. So for 10 ticks, simply I can say 0.2 second. So this piece of information is very important as well. One tick means is equal to 0.02 second time interval. For 10 ticks, the time interval is 0.2 seconds. Now, one thing more we need to understand, if we look at these two tapes now, so this distance between these two dots are for one tick is small, is shorter distance. That if we look here, this distance is between these two dots is longer. But how about the time taken? Is the time taken is the same or not between these two dots? Little think about this one. Okay, let me explain to you. Time taken between two dots or one tick is always the same. It doesn't matter the dots are away from each other or the dots are very close together. For example, if I place one dot here, let's say another dot here, and I place one dot here, one dot here. The time interval, for example, time between these two dots and the time between two dots is the same, and that time is 0.02 second. 0.02 second. But what is the difference between these this kind of motion? So the main difference here, this one is simply telling you object is moving slow, and in this case the motion is fast. So that is only the difference, but the time interval is the same. Now let's try to calculate time now. Let's say this tape is given to you. You have done your experiment. Now you have this tape. You need to find the time. So what is the time taken? So the first step, what you need to do, you need to find the number of ticks. So in this case, number of ticks we can find here. So the number of ticks in this case are 4. So this is one tick, this is second one, third one, and fourth one. So how many ticks? 4 ticks. And the time for one tick, we simply understand one tick is equal to 0.02 second. How about 4 ticks? 4 ticks. Now here we have 4 ticks. So it simply means we just need to multiply with 4. So what we will get? In this case, we will get that is 0.08 seconds. That's our answer, and this is the time. So this is how we can calculate time. If the tape is given to us, you just need to calculate, count how many number of ticks, and just multiply by time for one tick. Yeah, you can also see here. Okay, let's move on to next one now. We need to describe the motion. So what we need to do now, we need to simply describe the motion. These ticker tape timer tapes are given to us. This is the start. Start simply means that this is the first dot. Simply I will say this is the first dot. So start simply means this is the first dot. And the end means this one is the last dot. Now, what kind of motion is this? We need to understand. As the distance between these dots, as you can see here, as the distance is the same and time taken is also the same. I can also say that this is D1 and this is D2 and here is D3 and this is D4 and here is D5. So we can time, for example, this is t1 and this is t2 and this is t3, t4 and t5. As d1 is equal to d2, d3, d4 and d5, and time is also the same. T1 is equal to t2 and this is, and so on, t5. So what kind of motion is this? So we will simply say that this is constant motion, constant velocity, or simply we can say constant motion. How about next one? Now, let's see the distance. So this is the distance between these two dots and this is the distance between these two dots. Is this distance is the same or not? Let's say this is d1 and this is d2. So, and also we can say this is d1 and this is d2. So as in this case, d1 is equal to d2 and t1 is equal to t2, we can also say that this is constant velocity. So this one is also constant velocity. This is simply we can say. Now, but what is difference between these two? The difference is that this object is moving slower, is moving slowly. This object is slower and this object is faster. So this is the difference between these two. Let's move on to next one now. As we can see, this is the start. So this is the distance between first two dots, then this is distance, and this is the distance, and this is the distance. Now, as you can see, as the distance is increasing, d1, for example, I will say here, and let's say this is d3 and this is d4. As d1 is smaller than d3 and this is also smaller than d4. So as the distance is increasing but time taken is the same, because the time interval between any two dots is the same. As time is the same but the distance is increasing, we can simply say that our body is moving faster, is getting faster, or we can say body is accelerating. Now next one. At the start, you see the distance is greater, then this is d2 and then this is d3. Let's say this one is d1 and this is d2 and here is d3. So we can simply see that d1 is greater than d2 and this is greater than d3. So as the time is the same, time between any two dots is the same, but the distance, body is covering longer, shorter and shorter distance. Sorry, in this case body is covering shorter and shorter distance as d1 is greater than d2. So shorter and shorter, what we can say about that one? We can simply say body is decelerating, or we can say body is slowing down. Okay, so this is what we have covered here. Now you should be able to describe the motion. Is a very simple concept, but sometimes it's little hard for some students, but I hope that it is very clear to you now. Next one, let's try to calculate velocity now. So how we can calculate velocity? So the first thing we need to understand, the velocity is equal to what? Velocity is simply, let's say part A here and let's say part B is here. So the velocity we simply understand is equal to, means the average velocity we are going to calculate, means the total distance divided by total time. d1 by t1, or we can simply say total distance divided by total time. So this is better way to say, we can say distance over time means total distance over time. So this is what we need to understand. Or we are talking about velocity, we will talk about displacement. In this case, body is moving in a straight line, so the distance and displacements are equal. So as you can see, the displacement is given to us, that is equal to 7.6. 7.6. Now question A, first of all, is asking us calculate the total time. Calculate total time. So how we can calculate the total time? Total time, we need to count number of takes. So we can count number of ticks here. So we have here 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 number of ticks. So how we can calculate total time? So total time simply we can calculate number of ticks. Number of ticks we have 8 and time for one tick is 0.02. If we just multiply, you will get that is 0.16. Now, how we can calculate the average speed now? As I mentioned before, we need to find out the total distance. First thing is the total distance or total displacement divided by total time. So in this case, what is the total distance displacement that is given 7.6 centimeters, and number of ticks we have 8 and time for one tick is 0.2. So we can calculate velocity in this case. So here will be our final answer, that will be in centimeters per second. So this is how we can calculate. Let me show you my calculations. Okay, so this is how we have calculated. I hope it is clear to you. So this is how we have calculated. This is the total time taken, and this is the velocity in centimeters per second, and this is the velocity in meters per second. We simply just divided by 100. We got velocity in meters per second. Let's try to answer another question now. Now, this tape is given to us. What we need to do, we need to find out. In this case, we need to find the velocity, means the average velocity or average speed, we can say. We need to find out average speed. Now, how we can calculate the speed means the v is equal to distance over time, displacement, if I'm saying velocity, so divided by time, divided by time. So first we need to find the displacement divided by time. So here is time. So as the displacement is given to us, that is equal to 15 centimeters. So I will write down centimeters here. So how many ticks here? So we need to calculate time. So we need to count number of ticks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we can also check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we have 15 ticks. So the total time will be 15 multiplied by 0.02. Okay, so let's calculate our final answer now. So we have 15 divided by 15 multiplied by 0.02. So our final answer is 50 centimeters per second. So this is how we can answer this question. 50 centimeters per second. Okay, so here is the main question. So this question is very important because we will calculate acceleration. So we will combine concept of velocity and time, and we will calculate acceleration. So first thing, let me explain to you what is acceleration. So acceleration simply means that a is equal to v minus u over delta t. And this is the time interval between two velocities. Time interval between two velocities. So delta t is very important. Time interval between two velocities. Time interval. So this is the thing. Often students, they get confused with this. Time interval between two velocities. Between two velocities. time interval between two velocities. What exactly it means? Let's say we have this car, the velocity of the car u, the initial velocity, let's say is 2 meters per second, and t1 at time t, let's say, is equal to 1 second. And then the velocity of this car changes to v, the final velocity, let's say, is 10 meters per second, and the time t2 is equal to 8 seconds. So what is delta t then? Delta t simply means 8 minus 1. So that is equal to 7 seconds. So this is the first concept. You need to be very clear about this. If you are clear about this one, now we can go and we can try to answer this question. Okay, so let's read this question now and try to answer. Trolley is traveling down a runway. So simply I can draw here the trolley is traveling down. So let's say this is a trolley and it is on this inclined plane and it is traveling down a runway. Down a runway. So you can see as this trolley is moving down, it will be accelerating. So we need to understand the trolley will be accelerating because there is a net force acting on this one, will be accelerating. So the first part is simply asking us, what can you say about trolley's motion? We will simply say trolley is accelerating. So this is our answer. This is what we need to say. Now, next thing, the question is asking us, we need to calculate acceleration and our answer has to be in centimeters per second per second. So how we can calculate acceleration now if this is ticker tape timer tape. Now, first thing we need to understand is object is starting from here. Displacement is given to us and also we can count the number of ticks. Actually, if we see in this time interval, the number of ticks here are 10 ticks. We can also count, but it is one way to explain to you. The number of ticks are 10. We have already marked this tape and here number of ticks also 10. Number of ticks also 10. And the number of ticks between this time between these 2 points is also 10 ticks. 10 ticks. And here also from here also 10 ticks. So we need to calculate acceleration. So what we need the final velocity, we need the initial velocity and divided by the time interval. So here this is what we need. Is the time interval. Let's try to find out first of all what is u. So how we will calculate u? U will be simply distance over time or displacement. So they are the same. So distance over time. Distance over time. We need displacement divided by time. So we will be able to calculate value of u. And in the second part, what we need to understand is the velocity, how to calculate velocity. Velocity is also distance or displacement over time, and we need the value of displacement and also we need time. So here is time. Here. Now, then we will be able to determine velocity. And also we need delta t. We will do delta t later. Now let's take this one here. This here. Now, what is the displacement? Displacement in this case is equal to 2 centimeters. How many ticks? 10 ticks. So it means the time is 0.2. And if we solve this one, we will get initial velocity is 10 centimeters per second. Now, let's take this time this part of the tape, this part of the tape. So we can see the displacement, for example, in this case is 26 minus 15. So the displacement is equal to 11 centimeters. So we can write down 11 centimeters and the time taken is 0.2. So if we solve this one, we will get our velocity is 55 centimeters per second. Centimeters per second. So our V is 55 and our value of U, that is equal to 10. Now, how about the time between these two? Let's try to find out the time. So time interval we can find by three different ways. One thing, we can start from the starting of this one to the starting of this. We can also do, we can start from the end of this and we can also calculate time until here. Or we can start from the middle of this to the middle of that. Okay, so let's start from the starting to starting. So here, how many ticks here? Means we need to find time interval from here. We have 10 number of ticks here, 10 number of ticks, and next again we have 10 ticks. We have again 10 ticks, and here also again we have 10 ticks. 10 ticks, and so 10 ticks, it means 3 10 ticks. 3 times 0.2. So for 10 ticks, the time is, for 10 ticks, time is 0.2 seconds. So if we solve, we will get our final answer is 75 centimeters per second. So if we solve this one, we will be able to get our final answer, that will be 75 centimeters per second per second. So this is how we can calculate acceleration.